not audacious of you to name this being? Why is he not Buddha? Why is he not Allah? Why is he not a sheep? Who are you to name the Creator?
Great question. I have not named the Creator.
You have named him gods many, many, many times since I've been standing here.
That is not an act of my creativity. God has revealed himself as Yahweh Jehovah through the Hebrew prophets. And when God wanted to reveal himself most clearly, he became a man, and his name was not Cliffe. His name was Jesus of Nazareth.
That was the child of God.
No, Jesus claimed to be God in human form.
As according to something he told you personally?
No, he repeatedly, by both his words and his actions, approximately 2,000 years ago, claimed to be God.
From a book that has been translated so many times that it does not image its original text, which originally could have been a story of moral code, not the Word of God.
The New Testament that we have in English today.
New Testament.
That's right, the New Testament.
The newest one is called the book. Where does it stop?
27 books from Matthew to Revelation that we know as the New Testament has not come down to us through the Latin Vulgate, the French and the Spanish, and other translations. The New Testament that we have in English today is based on over 5,200 Greek manuscripts or pieces of manuscript dated from the 1st century through the 10th century. Man, we don't have the New Testament through a bunch of different translations.
Is it not translated by a human being, not in its original form? Many of the words cannot be directly translated.
Well,
Again,
I had to learn it.
To say that it is not originally a storybook, that we have decided, some people have decided to put into a position of the way you should lead your life and who you should bow your head to. I do not disagree that looking around us, you should see that there is some blueprint to this creation. But who are you to stand here on our campus to tell us that it's your God?
I am a beggar who has found where living bread is in a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And I've come to tell fellow beggars where they too can find bread in their own relationship with Jesus.
They know that they can go to church.
Right. I've been invited here by a group of students to speak. I'm exercising my right as an American to free speech. I'm not telling you to believe in Jesus because of me. I'm telling you guys, go to the source documents, the historical narrative, the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, study them for yourself, and ask yourself, does not the historical evidence point to Jesus being a reliable source of information about God?
But in the history books that we study, you can go back to the places of history and you can see where these things occurred.
Yes.
Can you do that with the Bible?
Absolutely yes. Bethlehem, Nazareth, Jerusalem, Rome, Sea of Galilee, Sea of Tiberias, all of the
those are places.
geographical
I'm talking about
names.
The people involved in the Bible. I can find tombstones. I can find death certificates. I can find birth records.
Good. You can find a lot of different people who wrote about Jesus of Nazareth. Josephus, the Jewish historian, Pliny, Tacitus, Suetonius wrote about Jesus of Nazareth. The Mishnah includes hostile references to Jesus.
Then they knew him.
Yes, they knew about him.
No. I'm saying they knew him.
No, they did not know him.
Okay, then it's a hearsay knowledge.
Matthew, Mark, John, Peter, James knew Christ, and they wrote about him.
They wrote about a Christ.
They wrote about the man they knew, Jesus of Nazareth, who they saw live, teach, die on a cross, and rise from the dead. Pardon?
Are you sure it's not a storybook?
Yes.
Of morals?
Yes, I am.
How?
Well, first of all, I apply 4 tests to any document that claims to be historically accurate. I never blindly accept any document as historically accurate. I hope you do the same. I hope you have your own tests.
Yeah, I know how to,
Good. What are your tests that you use to determine historical reliability of a document? What are those tests?
I don't do that. I don't go into historical reliability. I'm asking you.
I thought you just said you do that.
No, I do check the reliability of
Good.
the
How
document.
do you do that? How do you check the reliability of a document?
Based on its authorship, based on the authorship's background. There's a number of different ways of finding out whether or not what something says is full of bullshit or not. There's a scientific method, for one.
What's the scientific method? How do you scientifically determine whether Napoleon fought the Battle of Waterloo? How do you scientifically determine whether Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth? How do you scientifically determine whether Washington was inaugurated first president of the United States? How do you scientifically determine that Genghis Khan ever walked the earth?
Not one shred of touchable, tangible, provable evidence in thousands of years. Not one shred of evidence.
All
We
right.
go to a university where we use facts to argue rationally. We use facts to prove things. You know, we use evidence, we experiment, we test. You can't give us one shred of proof that your mythical Middle Eastern war god exists.
All right, would you
Answer
please
that.
prove to me that this woman has a rational mind?
Rational mind?
But if you did talk with her long enough, and if you listened to articulate speech flowing from her lips, although you could not prove that she has a rational mind, based on the evidence of her articulate speech, you would act and live your life as if she did have a rational mind, would you not?
No, not necessarily. I'd have to put it to experimental proof.
Stop lying to yourself and to me.
I'm not lying
You
to
sure
anyone,
are.
pal.
Fine,
Like I
and
said, hey, get back to the
Prove
point.
to me
Prove.
that. No, I'm
Prove. Prove your God exists. Don't be talking to me about some woman who I don't even know. That was the point. You're getting way off the point.
No, I'm not
Prove.
getting off. I'm trying to show you how
Evidence has to be
intellectually
said.
naive you are
Evidence.
in standing out here saying, unless you can prove something, you don't believe it. Rubbish.
I
You
don't
cannot
believe
prove
it.
that anybody has a rational mind. You believe they've got rational minds. Why? Not because you can prove it, but because the evidence of the way they speak in an articulate way, the evidence of the way they dress in an orderly way, points to the fact that between their two beautiful ears lies a rational mind. But you can't prove squat, sir.
You call that orderly?
Yeah, I sure do.
Well, that's a matter of subjective opinion now, isn't it?
Oh, yeah? Well, I can promise you that when UC Santa Barbara decides who they're going to accept as students, they don't just engage in a crapshoot. They look at SATs, they look at GPAs.
Right. Well, let's see.
And they say,
let's see.
have you displayed the academic
GPA and his
excellence to
SAT
make it in here?
scores. Then maybe he'll get into UCSB.
Right. So although they can't prove that that student is brilliant, the evidence of their academic record is that through high school and by taking SATs and doing well, they can thrive in this academic institution.
Tangible proof that can be read, can be seen, can be felt, can even be tasted if you want to eat it.
When have you tasted, felt, or saw someone's rational mind? You haven't. The evidence is that people have rational minds. Based on that evidence, you believe that they have rational minds. You don't prove it.
That still remains to be seen in this day and age. With
Fine. You bring a
wars
chemistry
and
kit every time you
suffering
go down to eat dinner at a
exploitation
restaurant.
of
You don't prove things in life.
Sure
You
I
don't
do.
bring your chemistry kit to the cafeteria to chemically analyze the food before you eat it.
I don't
Instead-
need to. I've eaten most of this stuff before.
Good.
I've tested it, tasted it. There's proof that it exists.
You have not tested
I
the
don't have
food
to
that
take
you're
it on
about to
faith
eat for
that it's
lunch.
food.
You haven't tested that. But based on evidence that UCSB does not hire crooks for cooks, you sit down and eat that food without chemically analyzing it.
Yeah, exactly. My point. I've proven it. I can eat
No,
the
you
food.
have not.
You're missing the whole point.
No, you're
And
missing
you're not,
my
and you're not
comeback.
giving me the proof that I am demanding. Prove
Sure.
that your God exists.
The point is, you can't prove anything in
Let's
life.
bring him down. I'd like to shake his hand, ask him a few questions in person.
Fine, but the point is, you're intellectually naive if you think that
It's
you have
not
to prove
naive,
something
pal.
in order to believe it. When you're approaching a green traffic light, do you prove that the guy coming down opposite towards the red light is going to stop before you go through it?
A lot of times they don't, pal.
Do you prove that they're going to stop at the red light before you go through your green light? Do you prove that the pharmacist in that bottle of medicine has put the right medicine? Or do you trust based on evidence of reliability? I cannot prove that God exists, but I can give you more than enough evidence that God exists. The evidence is the order and the design of the cosmos. points to an intelligent mind.
Not necessarily.
Of course it does.
No, it doesn't. We're a chaotic universe. I mean, our values and belief systems here are chaotic.
Well, I definitely agree with that.
Because you've gotten everybody to march in Nazi lockstep with yours doesn't necessarily make it true.
Well, that's for sure. I'm not asking you to believe that God exists because I believe God exists. You'd be a fool to do that. I'm asking you to believe that God exists because the order and design of the cosmos points to some type of intelligent mind.
It could be Osiris. It could be Isis.
Sure, you bet it could be Osiris.
Any number of mythical explanations that have risen up over the 100,000 or so years that our species has been in existence.
That's correct. But then, aren't you agreeing with me then that there's got to be some type of God or gods?
No, I'm not agreeing with you at all. I'm simply saying that we've made up these explanations. Any one of them could be equally as plausible, not proof. Plausibility.
Fine. Then how is it plausible for you as a thinking human being to conclude the order and the design of the cosmos is an accident? How is that plausible?
Order can arise from chaos.
At the foot of Mount Rushmore. And now while we're standing at the foot of Mount Rushmore, I say, wow, look at the way the water has dripped down the rock face there. By gollies, that's the head of Washington. Oh, isn't that Lincoln? Man, that's Jefferson, and there's old Teddy Roosevelt. Isn't it incredible the way the water just sort of eroded away those heads on Mount Rushmore? That is absurd. That is totally brainless to believe that. Take 10 pennies, number them 1 to 10, put them in your right pocket, pull them out sequentially. I ain't standing around holding my breath waiting for you guys to pull it off. If you can't do something that simple, how on earth can you argue for the plausibility that the human eye, the human central nervous system, the quote laws of nature are a cosmic accident? Really? That's like the unabridged dictionary being the result of an explosion in a printing factory. No, it does not happen that way. You do not get order and design by chance out of chaos. Order and design points to some type of intelligent mind.
No, not necessarily. As I just said, order can arise out of chaos. Chaos means no intelligent design behind it.
Oh, really? Give me one example out of your life where order comes about by chaos. Like the shirt, or the glasses, or the watch that you're wearing. Hey, it's an incredible accident I found on the side of the road today, isn't it? Boy, oh boy, isn't it amazing the way the glass just sort of flew into place? The metal just sort of came together. The extra pieces of metal just sort of fell off. And lo and behold, as a result of the impersonal plus chance plus time, we had a wristwatch. Amazing accident, isn't it, guys? Incredible discovery on the side of the road today.
So then what do you suppose that intelligent mind to be? I'll give you that. What do you suppose the intelligent mind to be?
Good. All right, so now you've moved to be a theist, right? There's some type of God out there, or gods. There's some type of intelligent mind, right?
For the sake of the argument.
Well, no, I'm not out here for the sake of the argument.
Well, what are you going for? I mean,
I'm out here praying like blazes that you'll put your faith in Jesus Christ.
Okay.
And if you're really an atheist, I want us to move from atheism to theism.
Well, how can you prove that Jesus Christ is, or God is, or what have you, is the ultimate being that's necessary for all order systems?
All right, guys, I cannot prove anything.
All right, you answered my question. I'm out of here.
All right, have a good day. All right, I can't prove anything. And guess what? Nobody can. To prove means to show it cannot be another way. I can't prove to you that my taste buds are telling me the truth when they tell me the milk is sour. Now, my experience is that my taste buds tell me the truth when they inform me the milk is sour, but I can't prove that.
Right, so I would ask, if you're using such logic for your arguments, and you're basing everything on inductive or deductive logic, why would you spend your time trying to get other people to believe in what you believe to be Jesus Christ as the ultimate being? Why would you use a logical argument and then in the end say, well, you got to believe it?
No, that's not in the end what I said. What I said is, although I cannot prove anything, I don't jettison my mind and simply blindly believe. Rather, I look for evidence. And I ask myself, does the evidence point to this being plausible, or does the evidence point to this being implausible? So I, as a thinking human being, don't base my life on proof, but I do base my life on evidence. And I sure am convinced that every single one of you does the same thing. None of you guys can prove to me that on your day of graduation, UCSB is not going to say, hey, fellas, no more diplomas this year. We're going to break tradition, no diplomas. It is possible. UCSB could do that. But the evidence of the past 50 years is UCSB doesn't treat their graduating seniors that way. They grant the diplomas. Based on that evidence, you guys are paying a lot of money and putting in a lot of work to get that diploma. That's the way I live my life. I think that's the way the majority of you live your lives.
Right.
Evidence.
You can't prove it deductively that that's going to happen, but you can give some evidence inductively that there's a good chance it's going to happen. So I'm asking, where's all your evidence for Jesus Christ?
All right. My evidence for Jesus Christ is historical in nature. Historical knowledge is a legitimate form of knowledge. You have a history department here at UCSB, don't you?
Right.
You guys pay a few bucks to take history courses here. What is history? It is not based on the repeatability of an experiment like science, is it? You don't get Napoleon back into your history lab every September and have him fight the Battle of Waterloo so that you can show me that Napoleon really fought the Battle of Waterloo. No. Historical knowledge is based on the trustworthiness of eyewitness testimony. Somebody saw Napoleon fight the Battle of Waterloo. They wrote what they saw. We study it in history. Well, the same is true of Jesus and Muhammad, for that matter.